given that these songs are written over that 2-year period, there may not be a clean answer to this, but where was your head at lyrically when you were writing this record?
It depends. Like, it goes through. It's really dark. It's a very dark record. There was it was a very dark time for just kind of full stop. Like, it's the lyrics are written with everything. Every record is just it's a snapshot of when. Like, of where the head's at when we're writing things, because this isn't like, it's not I don't have a lyric book where I write a song and go, that's fantastic, I'll use that at some point in time. Like, that never happens. It's like I am inspired by something that's going on and I write it, and I either bring it to jam or I put it to music that we've got already. And there was a lot of stuff happening personally for us, which was really, really tragic. And then externally to that, you've got a chaotic and pretty nasty world going on. Like, we've got, like, look at all the stuff that was going on. Like, we've got Nazis on the streets, you've got kids being beaten in detention, you've got asylum seekers being, like, murdered, you have mass exodus in Europe, you have corruption on a worldwide scale, you've got child abuse within the church, you've got absolutely everything going on, and like, that's the backdrop that this album is set against.
And you mentioned the child abuse in the church, and I think the song you're probably referring to there is "I Hope You Rot."
Yeah.
I mean, where did you have to go mentally to pen those lyrics?
I was just, it was hard to avoid, simply because it was like when the trial was on the radio.
This is the George.
No, it wasn't in the George Pell. It was just when the Royal Commission was going on into the abuse claims and everything like that. It was just like it was one of those spirals where it, like, you know, something's bad, and you think it's disgusting, and then it just gets worse, and you just keep going down and down. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, sorry for the language, but Jesus Christ, like, and there's like, it was just horrible. It's just completely horrible. Like, there's nothing about that can be redeemed or excused or validated, and the fact that there was attempts at that makes you even sicker. Like, it's, like I just don't. It was just sickening. Yeah, like, completely. Like, it was the kind of thing where, like, it was fascinatingly horrible in the sense of, I can't understand how these people can live with themselves on a very large scale.
So recording that song, was that more intense than any of the others, or are you just...
No, to be honest, it wasn't. It was like, because it's angry.
Right.
And I've done anger a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it actually wasn't. It was, I wanted to have the spite in it, and I wanted it to be like, I was more concerned about specific lines in that song. Like the line in the bridge, like, I'll never see through the eyes of your Lord, but I've seen through the eyes of a child. Like, getting those moments, like, those were the moments that I wanted to resonate with people, to know what this is about and why this is not something which is like, not even excusable or acceptable, that not human in a moral sense. Like, it's horrid. So, Okay. So that's where the delivery and the mindset came from. Yeah,
I mean, that in terms of your lyrics, there seems to be quite a lot of religious imagery throughout them. There's talk of gods and devils. You know, they're kind of regular, like, references in the songs. What do you find in that imagery?
So the album, like, when this album was written, we had a lot of stuff going on, which was very hard to deal with. Doesn't do it justice. There was a lot of tragic stuff going on within our family and families as a band, and the kind of thing where it's simply the idea of God and the devil and stuff being used in these songs is simply a reflection of something greater that is holding the reins of fate.
Mm-hmm.
And something that makes you question how those reins could be pulled in these ways, because you never thought these situations could be possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's when you lose someone to like a disease which is like unstoppable, and there's no reason why they should, like, that you can find that they should have that. Like, it's not like there's these tangible things which you can say, oh, this was caused by this. It just happens. You just find yourself trying to blame something, or like finding and personifying the idea of fate and good and evil being responsible for something which has no meaning which anyone can explain to you. So those, I guess, the idea of power. It's the idea of power over us, and power, the way that it works from the outside of what we are, be it like in the terms of fate, or in terms of the influences that we're put under as a person by our society, or personal influences or anything like that. Like, that's where those themes come in. And I never really realized it until after the artwork came about, to be honest. And I was like, Jesus, like, it really, like, this is what was in my head at this point in time, and there's a reason we picked that art, and there's a reason these things, that's what ties it together. So,
right, okay. Yeah. And The Colour of Leaving is a really striking note on which to end the album.
Yeah.
And it ends with the sounds of the crows and footsteps. What does that represent?
The song's about saying goodbye. Like, it's like, it was like, in terms of vocal delivery, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It was like, I wrote I wrote half of those words right after one of our friends passed away, as a way of like coping, I think. Like, it was just like, it was literally, the words were there and I wrote them down. And then I wrote the other half after my dog passed away, and it was and that's what the title actually is, like, The Colour of Leaving was the colour of the sky. And that was like, that was it. Like, it was words. It was these, I didn't even realize that they came together until later on.
Right.
When I was going over these things, because we've been going through like these processes of grief for a couple of years now. So it was just something that I went back on as I'm not even sure why, when I was dealing with something else, and they were there and they fitted together, and it was just something that I wanted to put down as a I don't know, I'm not even saying a memorial, but just as an end note to the album, because that's what has influenced so much of the time.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, we actually didn't have music for that until in the studio. It was the only song which we didn't demo. And I didn't sing that song until the studio, because I didn't know if I'd physically be able to sing that song. Like, it's very hard to even think about that. And it's still, like, I listen to that song and it's still, like, it's me singing it, and it still gets me. Yeah. Like, it was written in trauma. So, yeah, like, it's, I don't know, to be honest, we didn't even know if people would get it, or if people would think this is weird, or if it was even a song. It was just literally the end note to the album. Yeah. So it's like, Wishing Wells is like comprehending the grief and written after the grief, and that is written during and the process of saying goodbye, and they're the 2 points of the album, basically, which kind of sum it up, and everything's in between. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a concept in a way.
In that sense, yeah. We didn't necessarily aim it like that either. That's the really weird thing. They just fell into place. Yeah. I always wanted to end the album on this note. But we really didn't know. Like it was the kind of thing where I performed the song as best as we could, and it makes you feel, and it makes everyone feel it and get it, and that was it. Like it wasn't like, I don't know if people are going to want to play this or want to hear it, or if it's a thing that someone's going to skip. But that's the whole idea was simply to get that. The emotion across, the honesty across.
So, yeah, which you did. I mean, you not only captured the mood in that song, but I think throughout the album, songs like Cemetery Bloom, there's this kind of gothic choir and these strings. It's very dramatic.
Yeah, that's the drama's there. The drama's there. Like we did want to push like those themes. I guess the larger sonic palette a lot more.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of thing where I think. Whereas in the past we would throw back to an old sound for the sake of safety and in the sense of like, this is who we are, we have to have these bits. This was, like I said, the album where anything goes. So the concepts were much more fleshed out, and the concepts were like the time taken up on the album that was previously used by something which had to be there was now vacant.
Yeah.
So it meant building these concepts, which would have stopped far earlier in the stage of building on an earlier record, carry through far further. Yeah. And we committed far more, and we had more time to do it because of the recording process. We basically dialed in so much stuff on Aya that we got to kick off where we left there when it came to actually knowing how to make the sounds. That creating the sounds had a lot more time, which was really, really good.
Yeah. And so you're about to take this on the road?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, hopefully. If people like it, we're taking it on the road. So we're looking forward to playing it. Like all the songs are there to play. And another thing, like with the whole variation was the idea, like we always write songs with live in mind. And we're creating different live moments and live aspects. Like this band's been doing Adrenaline. For like it did it for 10 years straight, and even I was largely adrenaline based, but there's more. Like it makes the music that we makes me feel more, and I want to put more of that into it because as much as I love the adrenaline, like I love going and seeing something that makes me feel and connect in a different way. And as people, we're not kids anymore. I'm not fueled by adrenaline, and we've seen some shit, and we've been through some shit, and it's an outlet and it's a representation of who we are, and I want to put that on stage in a way that that does that justice and hopefully gives people watching it and experiencing it something beyond just frantic sweat. That's it. The frantic sweat's always going to be there. But if you can take someone somewhere else and give them another moment and give them validation for something that they didn't think they'd get out of Parkway, then that's like the aim at this point in time.
Great. Well, wish you all the best with it.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.